The 2026 preseason AP poll is out for ESPN, and I got some mixed feelings about this. We're going to go ahead and jump into it. I can show you guys, pull it up on the double view here. There it is. There is the AP poll for the preseason in 2026, starting off with Ohio State at number one. There were some mixed emotions about Ohio State at number one. Some people thought that that was maybe slightly high. Some people thought that was, a good spot for Ohio State. I'm going to give you mine. I think that there's a lot new on defense. So you look at them and the instant reaction is okay. There's a lot on defense that they're replacing. There's some, offensive weapons they're replacing. I look at them and I say, they're Ohio State. They're always going to be a top five team. So that's why they're in the top five. Why they're number one is because they have easily the best receiver. They have a top five quarterback returning. They have one of the best head coaches. They got a proven defensive coordinator who had the number one defense last year. They're bringing in a new offensive coordinator, so that could be a question. But Ohio State has, pound for pound, maybe the most talented roster, maybe the most proven roster we're gonna see on this list. So that's why Ohio State's number one. So I don't have any harsh takeaways when it comes to Ohio State at one. Oregon at two. I mean, they're the top two team in the Big Ten. The Big Ten kind of owns college football right now until the SEC or another conference takes the crown. The Big Ten's at the top. That's why you see Oregon above Georgia. Now, there's other reasons for that other than just the Big Ten being better than the SEC currently at the top. At the top, let's keep that in our minds there. I think Oregon's ahead of them because talent roster. Oregon's got Dante Moore, who's more of a proven quarterback than Gunnar Stockton. I'm not going to say he's pound for pound. Well, he is better, but he's not like overly better. But that is a slight edge to Oregon. They got a really good receiver room where Georgia might have questions there. The running back room is relatively even. Defense, you could give that to Georgia, but Oregon's got a really, really good defense. A lot of key players on their defense, a lot of first-round draft picks in 2026. So Oregon's another loaded roster. Georgia, top dog in the SEC. They're the SEC's number one. They did have 0 number one votes, which I thought was kind of crazy, but Georgia 3, I'm good with that. Notre Dame 4. There's a lot of talent on Notre Dame, so I see where the committee's kind of looking at Notre Dame and saying, all right, they're a top 4 team, and I agree with them not being in the top 3. I actually would personally, I'm going to put out my top 25 coming up here soon. I would probably have them top 5. I'm not going to exactly give you where I'm going to have them now, but I'll give you a hint. They're not in the top 3. So I don't think they're a top 3 team right now. Some people are higher on them than others, but I think Notre Dame's in a good spot. Texas at 5, I'm good with Texas at 5. I actually think Texas is slightly high, if I'm being honest with you. I think that them and maybe Indiana and Miami could switch. So like you could see Texas at 7, Indiana at 6. I mean, Kurt Cignetti's probably sitting back at home just loving this. I mean, they're the defending national champions, even though there's nothing to technically defend. They are the defending national champions. I think them at 6 is actually a little low, if I'm being honest with you. I think they should be higher. I think they should be in the top 5. Miami at 7. I see where people are coming and saying, Miami, we're not sure with them. I think Miami's a top 5 team. I think Indiana and Miami are outside the top 5. Now, it's tough to slot both of them in the top 5, so I understand that. But I do really believe that Miami and Indiana are ahead of Texas, just slightly. Texas A&M at 8, kind of high for me. I think Texas A&M is a little high. I see where the committee's coming from. There's a lot of talent on the roster. There's also a lot to replace. I think A&M's slightly high. Ole Miss is in a good spot around that 9-10 spot. Oklahoma for me is very low or very high. Wow, I can't talk. Very low. I think Oklahoma needs to be much higher. I would have Oklahoma probably where Texas A&M is. I think I would go Oklahoma at 8, Ole Miss at 9, A&M at 10, or Oklahoma 8, A&M 9, Ole Miss 10. I think I would put Oklahoma ahead of those. I think Oklahoma's easily the third best team in the SEC, especially ahead of Ole Miss and Texas A&M. I don't see a path or a way that the committee or a reason that they put them at 10. I don't really see a reason to put them that low, but that's just what they thought. I would definitely put them higher. LSU at 11. What are we feeling about that? I think it's good. I think personally, they look at them and say, all right, there's a group of 4 SEC teams. Any which way that they're mixed up would kind of work. So let's just put them all, 8, 9, 10, 11. I don't think there's much thought put into that process. 12, Texas Tech. That's good with me. Alabama at 13. I think this is a good spot. I think this is not too high. This is not too low. I think 13 is the sweet spot for Alabama as of right now. They could easily climb up, but they could easily drop. I don't see Alabama as a top 10 team right now. I don't even see them as a top 12 team. There's some quarterback uncertainty still. We're still trying to figure out that. Some running back questions. We're going to talk about Alabama later in the show, but I would say Alabama at 13 is perfect. BYU at 14, or sorry, USC. No, BYU at 14, yeah. BYU at 14 to me is good. I think USC should be ahead of them. USC's at 15. So I think those two, if they switched, would be better, just how I would see it, but the committee obviously doesn't see it that way. Michigan at 16, that's perfectly fine with me. I think Michigan is a top 20 team. I think they're on the higher end of that row. I think they're the best team out of Michigan, Washington, Penn State, those Big Ten teams. I think they got that right. Washington at 17. Now, Washington's a sneaky team here. They haven't really been this high in a preseason ranking in a while, I think. Even after the national championship appearance, I don't think they were quite 17. I think they were, in the 20s. I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. I'm feeling Washington. I think they're an upset potential team where they can go into a place like Oregon or play a team like Penn State or USC and pull an upset. Are they top 17? I don't think in the preseason. So I could go either way with Washington at 17. Penn State at 18. Penn State is good at 18 because they have a lot of upside, but a lot of unknown. There's a new head coach. Rocco Beck returns at quarterback, so I see where they're putting them at 18. They got a proven commodity at quarterback, so them at 18 is fine. SMU at 19, that's good with me. Tennessee at 20. I think Tennessee is in a decent spot. I think what held them back was the quarterback unknowns, and I'm not making an argument that they should be higher, but I'm saying they could be. If they had a clear-cut QB1, I think they could definitely be higher. I think 20 for them is a good spot, especially with the next group of teams that we have coming up. Utah at 21, new coaching staff, same quarterback. I think they're good at 21. They're definitely a top 25 team. Iowa at 22, death taxes in Iowa football at this point. They have always been a top 25 team for as long as I basically watched college football. That's how consistent Iowa is. Good with them. Houston at 23, Willie Fritz, Connor Wigman, a lot coming back for that coaching staff and roster. Good with 23. Louisville at 24. I'm surprised they put Louisville in the top 25, but I like it. I think Louisville's a top 25 team ahead of Clemson. I think the coaches poll had them at 23 or 24, Clemson. I think Louisville needs to take that spot, and I'm glad they did at 24. 25 to round it out is Missouri. I think Missouri's in a good spot. I don't think Missouri's too high. I don't think they're too low. 25 for Missouri is good, just cracking the top 25 teams in college football. So I think overall, these are solid rankings. I think the committee did a good job, especially with what we've seen. Again, we're not going to know how good this ranking was until after the season, but as of right now, I'm going to give the committee their, just their respects and say this is a good set of rankings. Now, I did want to talk about teams 26 through 37. Looking at those teams, if you're listening on podcast, there's a graphic on the screen. Clemson's at 26. So the committee's still saying we're high on Clemson. We see value in Clemson, in Dabo, in whoever starts at quarterback, whether it's Chris Vizula, I think is how you say his name. I'm not exactly sure. And, they see potential there, and I see potential there as well. Florida at 27, I like Florida. I think they're going to be a top 25 team within a few weeks. I think they'll pull off some big wins. Now, are they going to be above 8 wins? No, I think they're going to be the 7-5 caliber team, but a good 7-5, especially with the schedule. The fact that Clemson received, I'm looking at this right now, Clemson received 112 votes to be in the top 25. That's a lot compared to Florida at 27 with 51. That's a big difference. Boise at 28 with 43 votes. best G5 team. I agree with them not being in the top 25, but I think 28 is a good spot. Arizona 29, 32 votes. I actually like Arizona as a top 25 team. I think they could sneak in there. I love Noah Fafita, and I love Arizona this year. TCU at 30. Mixed opinions on TCU. I think they could be slightly high since they're losing their quarterback, but again, they're not in the top 25, so it's fine. South Carolina at 31. South Carolina is a team where it's like they're not a top 25 team right now, but they very well could be a top 25 team when we're looking at them in week 4, week 5. I think South Carolina's got all the potential in the world. Navy at 32, Illinois at 33, Vanderbilt at 34, Oklahoma State at 35. That's promising. That's promising for that new coaching staff and young team. Pitt at 36, and good old James Franklin and Virginia Tech at 37, receiving 6 votes. So that is your top 25 and your 26 through 37. Overall, as I said earlier, it's a good set of rankings. I think the committee did a good job, and I would agree with 85% of these rankings. There's a few, as I said earlier, that I would switch out and mix up. But overall, it's a good set of rankings. I think the committee did what they needed to, and they did a good job. And I have never been pro AP poll. I think it's always been just not where, like, I think that's always been, I don't want to say wrong, but I'll go ahead and say it. It's always kind of been wrong. Like, they've never really had a set of rankings that everyone looked at and said, that makes sense. There's always been those weird picks, but I would say overall the AP poll this year for the preseason is relatively successful. But let me know in the comments below your take on the AP poll for 2026 in the preseason. I'd be interested to know your guys' top 25. You don't even have to give me your top 25. Give me like your top 10 in the comments below. I'd be interested to see what that would be, as my top 25 will be releasing within a week probably, if not sooner. So I'll let you guys, or keep you guys updated on when that comes out.